Hi, guys. Welcome to the chat. I am glad to see you. I see some of you in the chat box. I'm just going to go ahead and click on to Instagram just to make sure I can go live there as well. And I want to give you guys a couple minutes to sign on. There we go. I'm going to type into Instagram. Come join us over at my YouTube channel. Great community. So anytime I do a live chat on Instagram or Twitter, I make sure that hello and welcome. Hello and welcome, guys. Glad to see you from Instagram. Anytime I do a YouTube live, I try to make sure that I include people who are on Instagram and Twitter because sometimes they're not on my channel at the time. So glad to see you guys. I am not at home today in my home office. I'm actually in the office. And I figured, let me just do a live chat from my office, even though the lighting is not as good. So I apologize for that. Um, but I think tonight's topic is an interesting one, and I think it's a much needed one. A lot of you have asked me behind the scenes, what is it when somebody says that they care about you, primarily your family, right? They say that, they care about you. They say we're family. They say, I love you. I care about your well being. I want you to make it in life. And yet, what they show me in their behavior and how they engage me is not the same. A lot of you have asked me, what is that called? And so in tonight's live chat, I see you guys signing on. I'm going to acknowledge some of you as we go along. But in tonight's live chat, I'm going to talk about, a topic I don't think that there's much conversation on, and that's deceptive affection. And you may have a little bit of an idea. I've tried to post some shorts on my channel, community posts, to really help you understand what deceptive affection actually is. It's a very interesting concept, and I'm going to get into this in a little bit here, but it's a very interesting concept, and a lot of you most likely have experienced it. Now, as we talk about deceptive affection, I'm also going to bring in what's going on at the family level. Deceptive affection can actually happen in any relationship. It tends to be mainly studied in romantic relationships and friendships, not so much in family, but families do show deceptive affection. So I'm going to break that down for you. But I also want to highlight family slander in tonight's live chat, because what happens with deceptive affection is, and especially in a family, is that the individual who is not being honest about how they really feel about you, how they really feel about the relationship that you are in with them, is they go behind your back most of the time, and they talk to other people that you guys know together, or they talk to family members that they can triangulate with or manipulate, and they say things about you that isn't healthy, and it creates deceptive affection because, again, they're going behind your back. This is, let's say, in the context of a family, they're going behind your back. They're talking to other family members. They're talking to maybe even close family friends, and they are not satisfied with the relationship that is between the two of you. And so they say things about how you think, how you feel, how you behave, right? Maybe they're telling some secrets that you've shared with them. Maybe for some reason they are trying to manipulate the situation and pit people against you. Whatever it is deceptive affection. And sometimes this happens right at the core of family slander. Now, let me give you just a brief overview of what family slander is before I start welcoming you guys to the conversation. Family slander is the process by which there are multiple family members who may have in some way become in a partnership with or a team with somebody else in your family, or, maybe one of your friends, maybe a coworker of yours, and they have decided together to come against you. And while they are coming together against you, they're also creating a situation where bad things are being said about you, opinions are getting thrown around about you that may or may not be true, and there may also be some manipulation of information to make you look like the bad one. And so deceptive affection and family slander tend to go hand in hand. Let me just welcome some of you to the live chat as you sign on. Hi, Betsy. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. Glad to see you. Hope you're having a great Friday. Anaphylaxis, hello and welcome. Glad to see you. Live Life, hello and welcome. Hope you're doing well today as well. I'm going to put your comments on the screen. Kyra Knows 144, hello and welcome. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. So welcome. Glad to see you in tonight's live chat. Travel DD, hello and welcome. Glad to have you back. Ben Collins, hello and welcome. Welcome. Glad to see you. Sovereign Lupilu, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Welcome. Glad to have you in tonight's live chat. I don't remember seeing you, so welcome. Glad to have you. Yeah. Elizabeth, hello and welcome. Glad to see you. Yeah, glad to see you. Welcome. Courtney Fraser, hello and welcome. Glad to see you in tonight's live chat. Deb, hello. Yes, glad you made it. So glad you made it. Welcome. Elizabeth, this is so cute. I'm going to put this on the screen so other people can see it. She says, I think I'll fall asleep. I'm so sleepy. Oh my God, me too. Please don't do that. You're going to make me go to sleep. But then I'll watch it later. Yes, thank you. Often Tamara's voice is my lullaby because in my time zone, her lives are around midnight. Oh, that's so true. That's so true. And even my UK people, you guys have a time zone that's not like mine. So I'm so sorry. So sorry. Sunflower and Sunflowers, hello and welcome to the chat. So glad to have you. Happy Friday to you. All right. Fairy Girl, I was going to say Courtney Fraser again. Fairy Girl, hello and welcome. Glad to have you. Eartha Page, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. Yes, yes. Okay. So for those of you who are just signing on, I've been talking a little bit about deceptive affection, and we're going to jump into what it is in just a second here. I want to go ahead and welcome the rest of you. All of you sign on at the same time, so I'm probably going to skip a few of you, but I love to see you. I'm so glad to see you, Fairy Girl. Hello. Thank you for that. Yanni Body TV, hello, and happy Friday to you too. Lou Skunt, hopefully I said that correctly. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. And Hanny, hello and welcome. Hopefully I said that correctly. And Cherry's Jubilee, welcome, welcome. I'll continue to welcome most of you as we go along. I also see Tay, the Gemini. I'm a Gemini too. Should I have said that? I don't know. Maybe I should have said that. I'm a Gemini too. So we're like this. We're similar in some things, I'm sure. I told somebody I was a Gemini the other day because my birthday is coming up here in May. And the person I was talking to was literally a complete stranger. And they were like, you're Gemini? Oh my God. No, you probably split down the middle. You're probably so wishy-washy. And that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Thank you guys. I'm going to put this up on the screen so you guys can see how lovely the audience is. Yeah, look at that. See. Yep. Team Gemini. There you go. Yep. Yes. Awesome. Glad to have you guys. All right. Chrism. I don't know if I said that right. Chrism? Hopefully I did. Hello and welcome. Glad to have you. So glad to see you. An empowered woman. Hello. Longtime stranger, it feels like. I don't know. Glad to see you and welcome. All right. So we've been talking just a little bit about deceptive affection. Let's go ahead and just jump in. Okay, guys. You guys are probably like, what environment is she in? I have had the luxury of trying to recover. And maybe at some point I'll tell you all about my health journey. I don't know. I have to ponder that. But I've been blessed enough to be home in my home office talking to you guys. Today I am in the office, so my background looks different, just so you guys aren't like, where is she? I'm at the office today. So we've been talking just briefly about deceptive affection, and let me just review what this is, okay, guys? And I want you to think of deceptive affection in the family context, and in the context of dysfunctional family, because deceptive affection is really something that happens in the middle of dysfunctional families or dysfunctional relationships where you believe that there is a connection, that there's a loving connection, that that person feels the same way that you feel about them, that you guys are on the same page, not that this person is lying, that they are really manipulating you, your thoughts, your feelings, and even your behaviors. There's no thought in your mind that maybe they feel completely opposite of you, right? And that's what makes this so traumatic. Sometimes deceptive affection can be traumatic, and it can even be the foundation of the development of PTSD. I know you've heard of people, and I have clients like this. I had one today that came to the office where you're in a long term relationship, right? Maybe you've been married for 45 years, for example. Maybe you've been dating for 5 years, and all of a sudden, something happens in that relationship where you're no longer close to them and they're no longer close to you. And it feels like you are sleeping next to the enemy, like you are sleeping next to a stranger, or maybe you're sitting at a table with or having a conversation with somebody that feels like a stranger. They look the same, they have the same mannerisms, they are engaging with you in a similar way that they always do, but there's one little small thing about them that is different. It's not what you're used to. Deceptive affection is not felt by the person. Let's say, for example, it's your father, your mother, right? You guys have never really had a good relationship, but there are times when your mom, your dad look like they truly love you. Deceptive affection comes in when they don't feel deep love for you. They don't have that. The only reason that they are, appearing as if you're close, appearing as if they love you is to maintain a function of the relationship. An example of this might be, maybe you've had a baby, maybe that mother and father, they are now grandparents, and the only way that they can stay connected to their grandchild, their new grandchild, is to maintain a relationship with you. And so there's a functional piece to the puzzle. The only reason they're showing you affection, showing you love, trying to be there with you is because they are trying to maintain a part of the relationship that's going to benefit them in some way. So, research suggests in the field of psychology that deceptive affection tends to be an operation in relationships that are falling apart. Family, romantic, coworker, whatever. The relationship is falling apart, but the affection that's deceptive is really helping to maintain a part of that relationship that is still needed, right? You have to communicate with your mother and father so that your child can have their grandparents. The grandparents have to communicate with you so they can have connection to the grandchild. Deceptive affection is also, I'm going to say, is also primarily the cause of relationships that fall apart, and it's hard to mend them back because there's no love in the first place. That's what I'm trying to get out, guys. Sorry, it's been a long day, but there's no way to mend a relationship where there never really was any deep love and affection. So let's say, for example, you have a relationship with your cousin. You guys have been very, very close. You thought you were close. You thought you loved each other. You thought maybe you could grow up and have a life together and support each other and really be like siblings and not cousins, right? So there you are, excuse me, thinking that the relationship is close, everybody's getting along, you're getting along, you two, life looks wonderful, right? One day you do something, that cousin completely pulls out of the relationship, walks away, and doesn't want to have anything to do with you. Let's say you try to mend the relationship between the both of you together again. It may be very, very difficult. It may feel like an absolute battle because there was never really any love there in the first place. The only reason you two were so close is, number one, maybe you loved and cared about your cousin, but you never paused to think, do they feel the same way? You never paused to ask yourself, Are we mutual in this relationship? So your cousin, the only reason she stayed in communication with you, this is an example, is because she needed to stay in communication with you. Maybe to graduate college, maybe to have communication with maybe your parents. There was something, a part of that relationship that kept that cousin holding on, but there was never really any love in the first place. Deceptive affection is basically this, that I am going to remain in communication with you because it's benefiting me in some way. Not only is it benefiting me in some way, but it also allows me to gain something from this relationship that I can use for my own personal development. I can use for the next relationship. And it may also make me look good. Maybe if I stay connected to my marriage for 50 years, it'll make me look really good, because who has a marriage that, lasts for 52 years? Most people don't. So I'm going to stay in this relationship because it looks good that I've been married this long. Even though we sleep in separate spaces, we don't talk, we don't get along, we fight all the time. Our morals are vastly different, and we probably should have been divorced several years ago. Okay, so you're probably familiar with some of these kind of scenarios that I'm giving you here. And this is deceptive affection. Deceptive affection. It's really something that a person will use for some secondary reason, to maintain a relationship, to look good, to not, create a situation where the relationship is on the rocks. It, helps to maintain peace and peace of mind if you don't rock the boat, whatever the situation may be. The other person does not feel as connected to you as maybe you feel to them. And that's what can underlie PTSD, right? Let me also say too, and this is important, in a relationship, in a family situation where there is deceptive affection, there's also strategic operation to maintain something. The other individual has to strategically plan how they're going to show that they love you. And sometimes that can feel patronizing to you. Sometimes that can also feel kind of minimizing, condescending, and it can also feel inauthentic, and not very genuine, right? Because you know what you're feeling. Maybe you don't feel loved, but they are just showering you as if they love you. I hate this word because a lot of people overuse it, guys, but love bombing, I hate using that term because so many people use that in today's society to refer to all the wrong things, or sometimes they use the term unnecessarily, but it is kind of like a form of love bombing. I'm just going to shower you with love and affection and tell you I love you and tell you you're everything that I've always wanted. Or if you're a family member, I'm just going to make it look like we are like this because there's a secondary reason why I'm doing this. Verbal communication can also show deceptive affection. Research suggests that there are some individuals, they try to maintain the relationship, but you can tell just by what they say and how they say it, right? How that message is delivered. You can really see that the relationship is not where the other person would like it to be. It's not. It is not there at all, and you can tell that just by what the individual is saying. Research also suggests, with deceptive affection, that there's kind of like this face saving energy, right? I have to save face. And the only way I do that is to appear as if I love my spouse, to appear as if I love my father and my mother, when the reality is I don't. Sometimes deceptive affection also occurs for emotion management reasons. I don't want to fight. So, in order to protect me from having to fight, having to explain myself, I'm just going to avoid, right? I'm going to engage in what's called conflict avoidance. I'm not going to get into a fight with you. So, I'm just going to shower you with love. And I may overshower you. It's almost like I'm overshooting. And that's typically how you can find deceptive affection. The individual just does things in a way that just doesn't feel authentic. It feels very, very fake. It can also be a form of gaslighting as well. Let's say, for example, your brother, so we're going to use an example of a sibling. Let's say, for example, your brother has always loved you, and you thought that he always loved you. You guys have been very, very close. You get into an argument, you get into a spat, you guys haven't talked to each other in 20 years. Now you're trying to bring your families back together and trying to forgive each other, right? And the only way that he knows how to communicate with you is to make it look like, the relationship has never been a problem, that he's always loved you no matter what, that he's never really been angry with you. It's gaslighting because the relationship was broken apart. You guys did not get along. There was tension between the two of you. But deceptive affection, he's going to make it look like nothing was ever wrong at all. Nothing was ever wrong. You never had a problem. He didn't hold anything. He didn't hold any malice against you. He didn't, regret the sibling relationship. Everything was fine. So deceptive affection can really be a gaslighting technique as well, especially if you have a family member who is a narcissistic personality. They want to look good at all times. They're going to use deceptive affection to get over on you, to minimize you sometimes, and to also save face and to make themselves look good. All right, I'm going to go to the chat box, see what you guys are saying. I also want to give you a definition of what deceptive affection is so that you can know in a nutshell what it is. I'm also going to bring in slander, family slander, in a minute here. So let me see what you guys are saying. All right. Live Life says Libra rising. Yeah, I'm a Libra rising. Yeah, my mom's a Libra. My mom's a Libra. Dragon Man Sassin, hello and welcome to the live chat. Glad to have you tonight. Eartha Page says going through this right now. Yeah. Deceptive affection is rough because, and I'm going to mention this briefly here, it's rough because there's manipulation at the core of it. And you don't know, should I believe the person who says that they love and care about me, or should I keep up a barrier, a defense wall to protect myself because I sense that this person is not being 100% honest with me? There's also the flip side of that too, where the manipulation is, I'm going to shower you with love and affection and praise and make you feel like the most wonderful person in the world. And yet on the other side of that, I know I don't care about you one bit, but I'm doing this for some secondary reason. Maintenance of the relationship, to make myself look good, right? Or to avoid conflict of some kind, or to save face, So deceptive affection can be really cruel, right? It can be really cruel. You may not even see it coming that the person doesn't care about you as much as you thought. Lou Skunt says, "How do you deal with family members humiliating you?" Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's a question and answer for the next live chat. But I think when you have family members who are humiliating you, it's okay to kind of withdraw from that environment or withdraw from that family member for a little bit. And if they have questions about what they did wrong, I would tell them, this is what you did, and I didn't really appreciate it. I didn't really appreciate that, and I needed to take a step away. I needed to kind of protect my mental health so that I would be okay. So, that's my answer in a nutshell. I definitely can bring that into the next live chat. Dawn One, hello, and welcome to the live chat tonight. Glad to have you. Yeah, Live Life says keeping up appearances. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Elizabeth says this is super painful for me. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Yeah. Eartha Page says, my mother to a T. And then she waits until I need her to let me down. Yeah. And keep in mind, I'm sorry that you have to go through that as well. But keep in mind that deceptive affection can happen a lot in a parent-child relationship. And there's something called cross-generational parent-child coalitions. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit here. But it's a cross-generational parent-child coalitions, and that can really create a problem, especially if it's happening to you and there's a sibling that's involved. But parents that engage negatively with their children and they're very immature, or they are emotionally unavailable, they will be deceptive in their affection. These kind of parents will look like parents at a PTA meeting, a parent teacher meeting, or some kind of school meeting or something. They will look like these doting, caring, really engaged parents. And as soon as you get home, they detach emotionally from you. And they're not the loving parent that you need. Eartha Page, I'm going to get into this a little bit more here tonight, so stay tuned. Yanni Body TV says that is totally sinister to play with someone's emotion in that manner. Yes, it is. A sociopath will do that. A psychopath will do that. Let me briefly define both. So, a sociopath and a psychopath are essentially the same thing. The only difference with a psychopath is that they tend to be more strategic. They also tend to be a little bit more intelligent in terms of how they operate. So they're not as clumsy as the sociopath. The sociopath also tends to rise in their career. You will see these kind of individuals as politicians, maybe even the president. A psychopath is your Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, so that's the only difference between a sociopath and a psychopath. A sociopath and a psychopath will engage in deceptive affection. They will show affection and they will sometimes dote on you, and they will show you all these positive emotions only to later let you down, either through behavior or words that they never really loved you in the first place. And this can happen in a parent-child relationship. Michelle Faria, I hope I said that correctly. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you. Hanny says, what is the difference between deceptive affection and narcissism? Narcissism is a personality disorder, meaning that it's a pervasive, chronic, long-term pattern of behavior that's really difficult to treat. It's difficult to change. It's kind of like when you think of a personality disorder, this is the best way I can explain it. It's really like trying to change someone's natural humor, trying to change someone's natural mood state, their temperament. A personality disorder is like that. It's very, very hard to change, and it may never change. So a personality disorder would be narcissism. Deceptive affection is something that a narcissist may use as a tool. Okay, it's not a personality disorder. It's a tool, and they will often use it. A narcissist can use deceptive affection to get over on you, to get what they want, to manipulate you, to triangulate, and really create chaos in your world and even in your mind. This is the kind of narcissistic individual, for example, that will say that he loves you and wants to marry you and have children with you and give you a wonderful life. And after 25, 30 years of marriage that you thought was blissful, they go and they have an affair, and then they leave you for somebody much younger. Okay, so a narcissist will use deceptive affection against you. And of course, if you have a narcissistic parent, it can be used against you like that as well. R.A. Andrews, I don't know if I welcomed you. Hello and welcome tonight. Says, I have several family members who do this. Yeah, who did this? Yeah, absolutely. I hate when family members pull this because it leaves you feeling that much more vulnerable. You mean to tell me we've been blood for all these years and you never really loved me and cared about me? You were really jealous of me. You really wanted to hurt me. You really wanted to do something that would really shock me and destroy my life, right? We don't think that this would happen among family members, but it happens all the time. All the time. More than I care to say. And I'm going to post some of that information in the description box for you as well, so that you can see a little bit more about it. So let's go to Ben. Ben Collins says, my parents are manipulative. I'm sure you've seen deceptive affection with your parents as well. Liberty Can says, deceptive affection keeps you on graces with a narc parent. That is why golden children do it. Gaslighting. Maybe so. Maybe so. I don't know any research that would support that. But I will say, the golden child in a family dynamic may engage in deceptive affection because it helps them get something in return, which is favor from mom and dad. If they use deceptive affection with you as their sibling, mom and dad is going to see that, and that's going to give them some kind of, secondary reward. So yes, I can see it in that dynamic for sure. Kyra Knows is having a hard time with this one. Yeah. Anaphylaxis says, "This has been the perfect description of my relationship with my only sister sibling." Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna get into that in just a little bit here. Cherry's Jubilee says, like love turns on and off. Yeah, absolutely. Cherry's Jubilee. It is like that person's love turns on and off. It's awful. All right, let's get back into the content. Now, let me explain just briefly how deceptive affection kind of fits into family slander. So, here's what happens. If you have family members that truly don't care about you, but externally they are putting out there through their behavior, through what they say and what they do towards you, that they love you, and yet they're going behind your back, that is not healthy. So, here's what happens. Let's say, for example, your father has children from another relationship and he's always showered you with affection, love, graciousness, you thought you were his favorite. You guys are trying to have a family, but you sense some dysfunctional family patterns, right? Let's say you realize your father is now going to his other daughter to talk about you. He needs tips on how to manage your mood disorder. He needs, some insight on how to become a better father to you. He doesn't know why you get so upset all the time. He wants to know how to, crack that nut and get through to you and be able to connect with you. At the same time, he's talking negatively about you behind your back to his other daughter. What can form in that kind of scenario is something known as a family alliance. A family alliance. And what that is it's like this treaty, if you will. It's this really tight knit kind of relationship that your father has built with his other daughter. And so, what does that do? That puts you on the outside as his other daughter. Right? Because he's going to his daughter from another relationship to talk about you behind your back. He may also call you names. He may curse, scream, yell, fuss, whine, tell all your secrets, ask his other daughter why does she think you act this way? Everything that is between the two of you, you and your father, has now been opened up widely to this other sibling that has a different mother, from a different relationship. And now that daughter and your father have created this treaty, this family alliance. And there's not only slander going on there, but a family alliance. It's like a union. It's like a union. And there's also, to these kind of very manipulative relationships within a dysfunctional family, there's almost like a conspiratorial, I'll say that, uh kind of closeness. They've conspired against you. They've come together and they've conspired in a way that puts you on the outside. There may also be enmeshment that happens in families where there's deceptive affection. Dad showering you with all this affection and love, and you think the relationship is wonderful, but then he goes to his other daughter and they have a very close, tight knit relationship that is really hard for you to get through to. You may one day, for example, go to that other sibling, right, that half sibling, and try to have a conversation about your dad with her, maybe feeling like we're siblings, we should be able to talk together. But you realize that, wait a minute, I'm not feeling like we are close in this. I feel like they're against me and on dad's side. And so enmeshment can happen between that father and that other sibling against you. There's also a mindset of the in group and the out group that can happen as well in a family where there's deceptive affection or there's family slander. There's this, we are in the in group and you are in the out group kind of disposition, and it can destroy you. It can destroy you. It can also destroy your life, right? Let me also say too that traumatic bonding may be a part of this. There may be circumstances where, maybe there's a trauma bond between, your mom and your brother. And you see that very clearly, for example. But you can't get through because they are so close knit. They're so tight knit that you can't get through. You can't give your opinion. You can't ask for advice. There's no close relationship. There's nothing, because that relationship is so enmeshed. It's so unhealthy. I'm gonna make up a word here, guys. Unhealthily close. It's close. It's so close that it's unhealthy. That's what I'm trying to say. And so that's an unhealthy alliance or an unhealthy coalition. And you certainly don't want that. Deceptive affection comes in when, your mom says, "You're my love, and I love you, and I've been always so proud of you, and you've done everything I could have ever wanted in a child, and I admire you, and you are the best, and I'm just so proud of you." And they talk to you like they really mean it, and they go away from you. And now they're talking about you. Can you believe your sister did A, B, and C? Why would she marry him? Why would he do that? Why would he get a job like that? Oh, I'm so worried. I'm so worried. He does this for a living and it's not a good job to have, yap, 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 yap. And that's what can happen in very dysfunctional families. They shower you, that family member, that unhealthy family member can shower you with love and affection and praise. And then they turn around and go behind your back and they completely slander you. This is actually a viewer requested topic, the slander piece of this live chat tonight, guys. Somebody on my YouTube channel who's been a viewer for over 5 years says, "Hey, Tamara, I've been watching you for 5 years. Can you please do something on the topic of slander? Help me understand what that is." So that's why I'm bringing this into this. Family slander and deceptive affection go hand in hand, just like a family coalition can also go hand in hand with deceptive affection. Okay, guys, keep in mind that deceptive affection, excuse me, is really the idea that I'm going to lie and say that I love you more than I actually do. I'm going to make it look like my feelings about you are way more involved than they actually are because one, I'm trying to get something, two, I'm trying to avoid something, and three, I'm trying to maintain something that's going to benefit me in the long run. You may be wondering, how in the world do I know that I'm in a relationship where there's deceptive affection? And let me just say, I've seen in my office, and I see this a lot in my field. I have a coworker that is actually down the street. Her practice is down the street from mine, and we meet up for lunch sometimes and we talk about our clients. And one thing that she told me is the most common reason, and I've seen this as well, that deceptive affection happens is there's often a discrepancy. There's a what we call a power differential in the family, and somebody kind of lords themselves over you in the relationship, and in order to maintain that power they shower you with affection in a way that is deceptive. If you don't believe what they are trying to sell you, then they can't stay above you, they can't stay in a position of power. It's called a power disparity. That's what psychology calls it, or a power differential. That person has power over you in some way. Maybe they're the family member that knows all the secrets. Maybe they're the rich family member. Maybe they're the family member who's the psychiatrist. Maybe they're the attorney or the judge in the family. Whatever the case, they have a position of authority that's above you, and they kind of keep you confused about what you guys really are to each other. And that helps to maintain the status quo, the power differential, the power disparity. And so my coworker and I were talking about that dynamic. It's a very ugly dynamic. But sometimes deceptive affection is used to help maintain that power differential. Let me also add in here too, deceptive affection can also be a part of conditional love in a parent-child relationship. I am going to shower you with praise and love and affection in a conditional way. You have to make me happy. You have to make me happy. It's like putting a coin in a candy machine. In one of those claw machines, those of you who are around my generation, I'm putting a quarter in. If you can give me something, then I'm going to praise you. I'm going to love bomb you. I'm going to give you all this love and affection, even though it's deceptive. Because at the core, I don't really care about you that much, and I don't really like you. I'm just trying to get something out of you, or I'm trying to protect something, or I'm trying to save face, or I'm trying to look like a good mom or a good father, or I'm trying to look like a good husband or wife. So yeah, conditional love is often at the core of this phenomenon as well. Let me also add, before I go to the chat box, withheld affection is also a part of deceptive affection. This is how you know that this is happening to you. Love tends to be inconsistent and withheld. And maybe there's a very codependent connection between you and that other person, or a bad relational attachment, you know? And so there may be times where love and affection looks like it's a lot, and there are times where love and affection is withheld or completely inconsistent. And that's because it's not a true loving relationship or situation. The relationship, the affection, the love, the so-called security that you may feel on the inside, it is all deceptive. It is all deceptive. It is used against you, really, in the end. All right, let me go to the chat box, guys. I'm going to give you some ways to manage this and deal with this, and then we're going to wrap up for the night. Tomorrow, I have a video for you. We're going to talk, we are, as a group, we can talk a little bit more about deceptive affection in my video coming up tomorrow. And then, guys, we're going to get into the topic of stalking. So stay tuned for that. I know a lot of you probably have had experiences there as well. All right. So Live Life says, I feel like deceptive affection is done to keep you close enough just so they can continue abusing you. It's sadistic behavior. Yeah. And you may actually find, and I agree with that, you may actually find that a dark empath is an individual who will use deceptive affection, right? It's that Machiavellianism. The dark triad is narcissism, sociopathy, and Machiavellianism. And in an attempt to keep you close, that's right, Live Life, you're right, or in an attempt to keep you blind, what do? They look like they love you and care about you. But that Machiavellianism, that part of them that is stimulated by hurting other people, is still at play on the inside. And they're getting pleasure out of you believing that they really love you as much as they say they do. It's a sad dynamic, but you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Elizabeth says a psychopath is still a psychological expression. Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. I think I'm understanding what you're saying. Absolutely. A lot of people still use the term psychopath. It is a psychological expression. I think that's what I mean. And I think that's what you mean. Hopefully. Correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth. Ronald Zion says, good evening, Tam and family. Hello, good evening. I am so tired. Hopefully you guys are not sensing that. Hopefully I look like I have energy. But good evening to you too, Ronald Zion. Hope you are resting and taking it easy. All right, so let me keep going, guys. I'm looking through the comments. Yes, Liberty Can says, why the man as the examples and not the woman? We can flip it around. We can flip it around. Sometimes I feel like I give a lot of female examples. I'm trying to mix it up, Liberty Can. Okay, but that is so cute and funny. So yes, it can also be a man in these scenarios that I'm giving. Hi, Raymond Vincent Garcia. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you in tonight's live chat. R.A. Andrews says, taking distance from these people is what helped me recognize the signs that I had overlooked or written off, that the person really did not care about me. It was a lot to take in. Yes, absolutely. Let me share this with you as well. And for those of you who are now following me on my slowly growing Instagram, I've always hated Instagram, and little by little, I'm like, migrating to Instagram, if that's the correct word usage, and I'm trying to build that channel up. But if you didn't see me on my Instagram the other day, let me explain to you what happened. So I actually had somebody who was trying to see me for a consultation, and R.A. Andrews, this is why I'm saying this, okay? This is to what you're pointing out. They were supposed to see me for a consultation, and so I was sick yesterday. I was very nauseous. It's either, so I have a neurological condition, meaning it's a medical condition. It's something that happens to my brain. It's on the order of epilepsy to a certain extent. I'll explain it to you guys at some other time. For the sake of time, I don't want to go into too many details, but I couldn't tell, am I catching a stomach bug because all my clients have been sick this week and I've been exposed to them? Or is it my neurological condition that is making me nauseous? Either way, I'm not going to let this person come to my office and potentially get sick. This person completely spazzed out, got offended, got angry, wanted to argue, didn't want to do teletherapy. I said, you know what? I can put you online. I can see you via Zoom, and they, for lack of a better clinical term, they basically threw themselves down on the floor, whined like a baby, and said, "I want my session, and I want it now. And I don't care if you're sick. I really don't care what the issue is today. I want you to see me in the office." And of course, I didn't give them a session. Like, you're not going to bully me into giving you a session. But this is an example, okay? This is an example of an individual who may use deceptive affection, right? They will respect you, they'll be kind to you, they'll be loving to you. They may even seem us very, very supportive of you, but that 1 minute that you don't do what they want, or you don't do what they like, or you don't meet their expectation, watch out, because they're coming after you, and it's going to be a very ugly thing. So that's an example. So I posted that on my Instagram yesterday. I may have posted on YouTube as well. R.A. Andrews, to your example, to your comment here, this is exactly the kind of person that you have to really walk away from, because they have no internal ability to care about you. There's no compassion. It's, I want what I want, and you're going to give me what I want no matter what. Deceptive affection. And you may go to this person, for example, and say, "I really need some advice. I really need some help from you. Or can you just understand what position I'm in today?" This is the kind of individual that would say, "I really don't care. I want what I want, and I want it now," and get offended and create a very, very big issue for you. So Ari Andrews is correct when this, I don't know if you're a female or male, I'm sorry about that, but this is what this individual means when they say, this person didn't personally care for them and they had to walk away. And that is exactly what deceptive affection really is. It's, I'm going to look like I care about you. I'm going to look like we are equals. I'm going to look like I totally get you, until that minute you disappoint me. And then we are absolutely going nowhere, because I didn't really care about you in the first place. I only wanted something from you. It's a very ugly dynamic. So Ari Andrews, you're correct. You do have to take distance from this person. You have to push this person to the outskirts of your existence, because they can and will try to destroy you. When I supervise other clinicians, this is exactly what I'm teaching them about, this very, very toxic dynamic, and deceptive affection is often a part of that. Sadie, me, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. Says, what about spouses? Spouses can also fit this description. Absolutely. This is mainly what our clinical research is about. Spouses, this is what they do. Not all of them, but the ones who are toxic, unhealthy, the ones who are cheaters, they're infidels, they are not honest, they are not caring of you. Yes, spouses fit this description. Okay, let's keep going. We have Napalm 1334. Hello and welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. Says, my brother pulled this crap last night, literally. I gray rocked him to keep boundaries, and he is now trying to be all nice because he's drugged out, right? He's being shown up. I guess that's what you're saying. And I don't want to talk to him anymore. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Yeah. Sounds like a manipulative individual, somebody that you really can't reason with. That's not good. That's not good. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Keep in mind that in very dysfunctional, toxic families, you're going to find this dynamic. You're going to find these individuals who withhold affection, or their affection is inconsistent, or there's conditional affection, or there's a situation where maybe they are verbalizing that they love you, but when it comes to actually showing you that they love you, they don't, because they can't, right? Yeah, that's horrible. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Raymond Vincent Garcia Jr. says, would deceptive could be a form of conditional love? Okay, let me read that again, guys. Would deceptive... I'm not sure I understand, but I'm going to take a stab at this and say anything in a relationship that involves deception, it can be conditional, because there's no truth in a relationship. So deceptive affection, in a nutshell, is conditional. because it says, I'm going to shower you with love. I'm going to say that I love you. I'm even going to show that I am overly in love with you, even though at the core I'm not. And it's because I'm getting something from this. I'm, you know, engaging in maintenance of the relationship because I don't want to be single. I'm trying to get something from you because I, don't want to look bad, or I'm trying to save face. And so, yeah, conditional love is a part of deceptive affection. Hopefully, I answered that correctly for you, Raymond Vincent Garcia. Clarify for me if you need me to. T Mac, hello and welcome. Glad to have you in tonight's live chat. You're welcome, Napalm 1334. You're welcome. I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring this to the channel tonight, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad it's helpful to you guys. Okay, Yanni Body, before we jump into just a few tips on how you can manage this, I'm going to read your comments and then we're going to wrap up. Then there's a video coming tomorrow for you guys. Yanni Body says, at Tamara, why do you believe this is so common? We are all strangers in this chat box. However, we are sharing the same stories or similar about our families. Yeah. Here's why I think this is so common. And this is like a whole new live chat. So I'm not going to get too much into it. I think this is so common because I think we live in a world where deception is a part of human behavior. Not all humans, but there are a nice percentage, and I'll post the research in the description box. You guys will have that. There's a nice percentage of people who engage in deception. Deception is a part of how the world kind of runs, right? Think of our politicians, think of the president, think of different people who are, in a position of authority. They sometimes have this flair of deception about their person, right? So deception is a part of the human condition, and I really believe that our families also fall into that same condition. Our romantic relationships also fall into that same condition. It's who we are. It's kind of like, a part of broken humanity. Deception is a piece of that. And so why is deceptive affection something that happens? I don't know. I really don't, but I can give you my humble ideas about it, that I think we live in a world that is full of deception. I think that doesn't exclude families and romantic relationships. And there you are in the middle of a relationship or situation where deception has now found you. I just think not all of us are deceptive, but I just think we're all going to experience some form of it in some way. There's also a spiritual component to that. There's also an existential component. I won't get into that because that's going to open up the live chat to a bunch of other worms. But that's one piece of why I think this happens so much. I also think that we're lied to in society. I'll throw this in here. I also think we're lied to in society to believe that relationships are loving at all times. If you love somebody, everything is going to go great. You're never going to have to deal with any problems. You're never going to have to deal with deception. Family is everything. Romance is beautiful. And that may be true in some contexts, but that is not true for all of us. And we can't kind of, generalize. We can't generalize. So we're lied to. And so I think a lot of you are experiencing the reality of humanity. And that's why all of you can relate to each other. You've experienced the reality while everybody else is probably still trying to figure it out. Okay, that's what I'm going to say in a nutshell. That was a fantastic question. Maybe I'll do a live chat on it at some point, but that's it in a nutshell for me. Cherry's Jubilee says family alliance is why they all abandoned me. Absolutely. A family alliance is an ugly, ugly thing. It says we are like this, me and a few other family members, and you're not breaking through. It's a treaty. It's some kind of togetherness, brotherhood. And it causes our families to go against the person that they are against. It's kind of like the in group and the out group phenomenon. We're the in group and you're the out group. We're going to go against you. Flower Jade, hello and welcome. I'm glad that you caught a live chat tonight. Welcome. I think that's so wonderful. I'm so glad. That's wonderful. Thank you for letting me know that. That's wonderful. All right, let me give you some reasons, guys, why this is happening. I'll go ahead and read the rest of your comments and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. So, what did I say? Why this is happening? We already did that. I'm going to give you some tips on how to deal with this. This is what I mean. Here's what research says. Research says the best way to deal with a situation where your parents have engaged you in deceptive affection is, now that you're the adult, maybe you look back and you say, you know what? My mom never really loved me, never really understood me, was very narcissistic, very self centered, very antisocial. I didn't have the mom that I needed. I didn't have the mom that I needed. So, how do you heal from that? Research suggests the best way to start healing is to reparent yourself. Reparenting yourself means give yourself all those things that you didn't have from that parent you thought loved you, but really didn't. I have a video that I really hated to make 2 years ago, but it went viral. It's called Parents Who Don't Care. You can go ahead and put that into the search box of YouTube, it'll come right up. And I talk about clinical research that has showed that there are some parents, and they typically have severe mental illnesses, severe drug and alcohol issues, personality disorders. They have a whole host of issues. But that group of parents do not seem to care, and they don't seem to have the capacity to care. That's the issue. They don't have the capacity to love you. So you've got to reparent yourself. And that means giving yourself all the things you didn't have, showing yourself unconditional love, finding people that are healthy in your environment, educating yourself like you're doing tonight, engaging yourself in a community of people who can relate to you, right? Going to therapy, journaling, getting rid of negative energy in your life. That's reparenting yourself. You're saying, I didn't get all of this love as a child, but I'm going to give it to myself now as an adult. The other thing is steer clear of family alliances. That's another thing research suggests can be helpful in healing from very, very toxic family dynamics. Steer clear from family alliances. If you see all your family members getting together over here, run all the way over this way and find a comfortable spot over there. Because the minute you get involved or sucked into a family alliance, that's the minute you're going to lose your objectivity. You're going to become emotional. You're going to feel overwhelmed, right? You're not going to be healthy. You're going to be unhealthy. You're going to be unhappy, maybe depressed, and you may feel like this is a battle you have to fight. It is not. So research suggests, and I'm suggesting from working with these kind of families, steer clear of the family alliance. If you see enmeshment, alliances, coalitions where your family members are like this against you, walk away from that. Don't even get involved. Don't even try it, because you may go to Uncle Susu, whatever, Aunt BB, and go to your cousin to talk about the situation and why you don't like what they're saying about you, why you don't like how they're treating you. And you know what those three people are going to do? They're going to go to other family members that they're close with and talk about you. And so you're strengthening the alliance, the coalition, the enmeshment. So just don't engage. That would be my suggestion. You also want to make sure that you don't experience boundary dissolution. And what that means is you don't want your boundaries to disappear. You want to have very healthy boundaries with family members like this. If you have family members who are deceptive, they're uncaring, you just found out that they didn't love you as much as you thought, they turned on you, they manipulated you, they triangulated, they pushed you out of the family, whatever they've done, you recognize that something's off here. You want to make sure that your boundaries are healthy. You want them to be not too rigid and not too flexible. You want to be right in the middle, right in the middle. And that's a healthy boundary. So make sure your boundaries are okay. You also want to promote clear and succinct communication. You don't want to get into long arguments over email and text. You don't want to show all your thoughts, feelings on a text or an email. You don't want to start screaming and yelling everything that you've felt about this person over the phone. You really want to keep your calm, keep your cool, keep your resolve, and don't engage with these kind of family members at an emotional level. Keep in mind, and this is my last suggestion on this, keep in mind that if there's deceptive affection, everything you say and do from this point on is really not going to make a difference, because they never really cared about you in the first place. And that's the really hard part. That's the hard part. All right, guys, let me go back to the chat box. Then we're going to wrap up. We're going to wrap up. Raymond Vincent Garcia Jr. says, that is what happened to my wife and both parents and their families. Sorry for yelling. No, you're okay. Oh, I see. That is what happened to her, to us, and very severely. Yeah, absolutely. Hmm. Relational confusion is what I call it. Relational confusion. I hate it. I hate it. It's like, it's like these unhealthy family members, they never really cared about you, or even unhealthy people in other relationships, they never really cared about you in the first place. Now you know they don't care about you, and it's like they encircle you with their poison, right? And here you are in the middle of it trying to figure out, what did I miss? What signs did I miss? What could I have done differently? What did I do to deserve this, right? You can almost panic because you thought one thing for so long, and the reality is it's not what you thought. Now, let me say this too briefly, and I encourage you guys to do your own research on this. Some research suggests that deceptive affection can actually be healthy, and here's why. The research is saying somebody who is behaving as if they truly love you, and they're showering you, and they're giving you everything, and they're just praising you, and it's so wonderful, and there's hearts everywhere, and there's hearts everywhere and roses. Those kind of people can actually, according to some of this research, they can actually cause themselves to, what's the word that I'm looking for? I had it and I missed it. Oh, it left me. It's their behavior of over loving you, I'll put it that way, can actually cause them to really start to love you. It's kind of like a dichotomy. I don't really care about you, but because I'm being deceptive and I'm making it look like I really care about you, now in some strange twist, I really do care about you because I've actually influenced myself to care about you. So if you can make sense out of that, God love you, because it took me a while. I was going through some of the research and I'm like, what? So, research does suggest that deceptive affection can actually cause you to actually start to love the person in some cases. Yeah. All right. Let's go to Bree Bree. Bree Bree says, this sounds familiar with the talk of half siblings. Yeah. I have two half siblings and half brothers or half brother that I know of, and they have always had my dad in their life while he was missing from mine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's where family coalitions happen the most. I had a situation the other day here in the office where there was a family coalition. Mom had children from a previous marriage, and those kids had moved out of the home and they were on their own. And then she had, with her new husband, children who are under the age of 15. And so she has to love and care about them, but she's building a coalition and an alliance with them against her eldest children who moved out. And so it's a really ugly dynamic. It happens a lot, a lot. Napalm 1334 says, enmeshed families are horrifying. Yes, they are. Because let me just say this for those of you who are not aware of family enmeshment. Family enmeshment is this. It's being this close. Think of codependency. It's such a blurred line that I can't tell if my emotions are my emotions or your emotions. I can't tell if my like of this kind of clothing is my like or your like. I can't tell if I am wearing those boots because you're wearing them or I'm wearing them. I can't tell anything because I'm so like this with my family that I can't figure out where I belong in my own life. Enmeshed family members can struggle the most when there's a huge life transition, like college, right? That child goes off to college, then the parents can really suffer if they were really enmeshed because they feel like literally their right leg has been cut off when that child goes to college. A marriage happens. A mother can get very, very dominating, jealous, envious, angry, hateful towards the husband because her daughter is now married and going on with her life, and they've been enmeshed for so long. Enmeshment can be the worst thing. For me, it's worse than codependency because enmeshment says we are like this. It's like a pact, right? Codependency, you can kind of work through that, but not enmeshment. Enmeshment is my feelings are mine and your feelings are mine. That's kind of how that goes. Stephanie Smith, hello and welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. We're going to be signing off here in just about 5 minutes. Stephanie Smith says, in my family, they always said, if you don't want to be talked about, then you have to stay in the room. I hate that. I've heard that. I've had it on my couch this week. Somebody said to me this week, they told their daughter that if you don't want to be talked about, stay a part of the family situation. Don't go and withdraw in your room. And I hopped on that so quick. Don't do that. That's humiliating. It's minimizing, it's condescending, and it's controlling. And that is not a healthy family behavior. Hopefully she stopped doing that. But I'm sorry you had to deal with that, Stephanie Smith. That's not healthy at all. Flower Jade says, I have a family like that. Sadly, that's how I used to relate to people. I'm glad I caught it and I changed that. Yeah, absolutely. You can change it. You can. Yeah, I like that Cherry's Jubilee. I'm just going to leave that up there for a second while I go through the comments. Yeah, I love that comment, Cherry's Jubilee. Cordy Fraser says, I was already suicidal and my sister said on the phone to me, he only meant he only meant be safe. I was thinking, why are you defending him? Okay, let me read this again. I was already suicidal and my sister said on the phone to me, he only meant be safe. I was thinking, why are you defending him? Did I miss a part of that conversation, Courtney Fraser? Maybe. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say to that because I can't really make sense out of that. First of all, I'm sorry you've had to deal with that. That's not okay. Um, If I miss something, let me know. I'm willing to answer that. Elizabeth Pepper says, "Would welcome to the chat, by the way." Says, "Would love bombing be classified as this?" Absolutely. Love bombing is another form of deceptive affection. It's I'm going to shower you with all the love and affection, but I'm only doing that to maintain this relationship for some purpose, to save face, or to get something in return. To get something in return. It can be the same. Yes. Thank you, Napalm. I appreciate that. Yanni Body TV says, if they pretend to love you and are deceptively affectionate, it leaves no room for someone to actually love you. Yes, very nice point. And be genuinely affectionate with you. These people are selfish to their core, Misery. Yeah, they are very selfish, some of them. And sometimes deceptive affection can happen if an individual just strictly doesn't know how to love you. Let's say he or she has had attachment issues, right? Insecure attachment with a parent, has always had relationship attachment problems, has been through trauma, the list goes on. They have a personality disorder and a mental illness, and now they're in a relationship with you and they simply don't know how to be. So they pretend to love you. That's the only way they know how to love you. So there are some people who are quote unquote innocent, but they display deceptive affection because they don't really know how to love. So all they know is to be a way that they've heard is a loving way. You know what I mean by that, guys? So that can be in there too. And I should have mentioned that at the beginning. But that's also an issue that's in there for sure. Thank you, Raymond Vincent Garcia. Yeah, good. I love it. Sun and sunflowers. I love to see that. Wonderful. Barb Pace Lamb says, hello and welcome. We're going to sign off here in just a little bit. Says, the hardest thing is how snowed I've been. It hurts bad. And they love making me hurt. Yeah, maybe they do. And maybe they don't know they're doing it. I don't know. Sometimes I can't figure out what is what in a family dynamic, you know? You know your family best. I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. This is typically at the core of a dysfunctional family. Keep that in mind. A dysfunctional family is a family where there's no stability, there's no equilibrium, there's disequilibrium, meaning the foundation of the family is rocky, and deceptive affection is a part of that dynamic. Queen Butterfly, hello and welcome. I love that. That's such a cute screen name. Says my mother got mad that I didn't turn against my father like my siblings did during their divorce. Wow. You know what that's called? It's called parental alienation. Parental alienation. It is also called cross generational parent child alliance or coalition. Here's what I mean. The parent and the child team up against the other parent and they talk bad about the other parent. They create trouble with the other parent. They may even go to therapy right? Just to talk about and put on a medical record whatever they want to put on a medical record about the other parent. They may also go to therapy and say things to the therapist that will then trigger a child protective services report against that other parent. And so that is called parental alienation. The parent uses the child to get back at the parent or do some very unhealthy things, and they know it's unhealthy. They don't care, right? And sometimes the parent is angry and they're using the child to get over on the other parent. So parental alienation or cross generational parent child alliance. They team up together and they go against the parent. It's a very, very sad scenario. Hello, Shalin Monk. Hopefully I said that correctly. Welcome to the chat. We're going to sign off here in just a little bit. Hoodie 18th says this is part narcissistic abuse by proxy. Yeah, you could put it that way. Yeah, you could definitely put it that way. All right, just scrolling through and we're going to sign off. Marquise Jennings, hello and welcome to the chat. So glad to have you. Says, I adore your content. Thank you so much. Senior pre-med college student from Ohio. Wow, that's amazing. Good for you. That's awesome. Says, you have so much wisdom and you are brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm learning so much from you, Tamara. First time catching your live. Blessings. Same to you. Blessings to you too. And good luck. That's wonderful. God bless you. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. That's humbling. Hanny says, sadism is added in the dark tetrad. Yeah, or triad. Woo, you got me saying the wrong thing now. I'm convinced that's the combination of the devil himself. You know what? I don't disagree. I'll put it that way. I don't disagree. You're literally in hell with the such. Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it? Like you're in a fiery place and it feels like a battle. It feels like a battle. All right, guys, I better sign off. You guys have such awesome comments. LC Sack, hopefully I said that correctly. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. Says it sounds like the person you're describing dehumanizes others when they don't get their way. Absolutely. Remember that person? I don't know if you were here earlier. You could have been that person I told you about that wanted a consultation. And she said to me, I want my session and I want it in the office and I want it now. That particular individual didn't get what they wanted. And so what do? They dehumanize you, they minimize you, they condescend, they fight with you, they wrestle with you, and they won't bend with you because they're not getting what they want. So they really do whine. They're very, very entitled individuals, you know? That happened to me recently, and I'm like, this is a great live chat topic. Sean Hammer, hello, and welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. Yeah, okay. Yes, you're welcome. Lil Meow, hello and welcome. Glad to have you. You're welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. Okay. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Whatever I didn't answer, feel free to... Something just fell out of my closet. Okay, that means it's time to go home. That must be a sign to sign off. You're welcome, Raymond Vincent Garcia Jr. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Stay tuned for my video tomorrow night. I'm going to talk about this, but I'm going to tease and pull this apart for you so that you can get a little bit more information. And I'm going to be sprinkling that video tomorrow with some new terms that may help you understand your situation a little bit better. But I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and I'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.